I'll be discussing why pharmaceutical drugs injure and kill so many people, and the many signs that the pharmaceutical companies are running a $280 billion a year business to keep you sick. In 2004, a team of scientists reported a definitive review and close reading of medical peer-reviewed journals and government health statistics shows that American medicine frequently causes more harm than good. The total number of iatrogenic deaths, that's deaths from medical treatment, is 783,936 people per year in the United States. It is evident that the American medical system is the leading cause of death and injury in the United States. Similarly, in 1994, a study in the Journal of the American Medical Association reported that modern medicine causes 180,000 deaths each year in the United States. This indicates almost a 500% increase in medical-related death from 1994 to 2004. Most of these are caused by prescribed pharmaceutical drugs. A 1998 study in the Journal of American Medical Association stated that in 1994 in the U.S., 2,216,000 hospitalized patients had serious adverse drug reactions, and 106,000 had fatal adverse drug reactions, making these reactions between the fourth and sixth leading cause of death.
Call your doctor if your depression worsens or you have unusual changes in behavior or thoughts of suicide. Antidepressants can increase these in children, teens, and young adults. Elderly dementia patients taking Abilify have an increased risk of death or stroke.
How can Abilify and thousands of other drugs with similar side effects be considered safe and effective?
Or if you have uncontrollable muscle movements, as these could become permanent.
The United States has the greatest annual sickness care expenditure of any nation, $912 billion in 1993 alone. And if money in medical treatment equals the health that one would expect in the United States, that we would be the healthiest nation of the world. However, as of 2006, the U.S. ranks only as number 48 in the world for life expectancy at birth, because we are being poisoned in our food and our water with the geoengineering, the chemtrails spraying in our atmosphere, the food additives, the GMO, the vaccines. So of course, all of these things cause medical expenditures, medical profits for Big Pharma. To further illustrate this, we have fraud in the clinical tests. Drug companies can easily arrange appropriate clinical trials by paying a researcher to produce the desired results that will assist the intended application of the drug. The incentive for researchers to fabricate data is enormous. As much as $1,000 is paid per subject by the American drug companies, which enables some researchers to earn up to $1 million a year from drug research. And they know all too well if they don't produce the desired data, the loss of future work is inevitable. Unfortunately, because of secrecy, most fraud in clinical trials is unlikely to be detected. However, cases of data fabrication in clinical trials have been uncovered, where, for example, patients who died while on the trial were not reported to the sponsor. Dead people were listed as subjects of testing. People reported as subjects of testing were not in the hospital at times of tests, and where patient consent forms bore dates indicating they were signed by the subjects after the subjects had died. Even if the data from clinical trials is not falsified, it is often of little worth because they are not performed appropriately. Trials involve relatively small numbers of people, and the subjects taking part usually do not represent those who will use the drug after its approval. So the many harmful effects of a new drug appear only after it has been marketed. There is fraud in animal testing, and it's just absolutely unbelievable how many drugs are being marketed. For instance, in 1981, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, in collaboration with the World Health Organization, published a list of a mere 26 drugs from the 205,000 marketed drugs that were considered indispensable, with 9 being more indispensable than the others. Other medical commissions in Chile in 1972 and Sri Lanka in 1978 came to similar findings, that there are not more than a few dozen drugs worth keeping. Interestingly, both governments were ousted shortly thereafter by American-backed forces. Isn't that true? they were replaced with administrations open to American trade and the products of the chemical pharmaceutical industry. Let's talk about the chemical pharmaceutical industry. On May 15, 1911, the Supreme Court of the United States found John D. Rockefeller and his trust guilty of corruption, illegal business practices, and racketeering. As a result of this decision, the entire Rockefeller Standard Oil Trust, the world's largest corporation of its time, was sentenced to be dismantled. Of course, Rockefeller could see this coming, as he was using this as a Hegelian ploy to further his control. Create the problem, a greedy corporation that must be handled. Offer the solution, breaking up the corporation into smaller ones and creating philanthropic organizations. The Rockefeller Foundation, the Carnegie Endowment for Peace, the Ford Foundation. These foundations were used as a tax haven. In 1913, the American people were subjected to personal income tax, which was sold to the people as being for only the ultra wealthy, and the small guy basically didn't pay anything, so no one paid attention. So since it didn't affect the small guy at that point, they let it go through, and they tax the rich, tax the rich. Meanwhile, the uber rich, like the Rockefellers, who now divested themselves, created these tax-free havens. And it was used strategically to take over the healthcare sector of the United States, specifically the Rockefeller Foundation. It was a front organization for the global business venture of the Rockefeller establishment. The new venture was called the Pharmaceutical Investment Business. Donations from the Rockefeller Foundation went only to medical schools and hospitals. These institutions have become missionaries of a new breed of companies, the manufacturers of patented synthetic drugs. This was also the time when the first vitamins were discovered. It soon became clear, however, that these natural molecules had life-saving health benefits and that they were able to prevent many chronic health conditions. The first books appeared with research subsequently abandoned about the health benefits of vitamins. These newly discovered molecules had only one disadvantage: they were non-patentable. Almost immediately after establishing the pharmaceutical investment business, the Rockefeller Syndicate went on the attack against all forms of natural cures and remedies. In 1918, the Rockefeller Foundation used the Spanish flu epidemic and a propaganda campaign to demonize and discredit natural healers. It started with a witch hunt on all forms of medicine that were not covered by its patents. Within the next 15 years, all medical schools in the United States, most hospitals, and the American Medical Association all essentially became pawns on the chessboard of Rockefeller's strategy to subjugate the entire healthcare sector under the monopoly of his pharmaceutical investment business. Disguised as a Mother Teresa, the Rockefeller Foundation was used to conquer foreign countries and entire continents for the pharmaceutical investment business, just as Rockefeller himself had done a few decades previously with his petrochemical investment business. The relationship between the Rockefeller cartel and IG Farben became very close. In fact, if it wasn't for this relationship, Germany would not have been able to build up its war machine, trample across Europe, exterminate 12 million people. All of the horrors that were coming up and the length of the war and the continuation of the war, as they did with World War I, continued to make money off of this military-industrial complex. And it's an insidious truth that as our economy was doing well with World War I, when you can see what happened with the buildup of Germany in World War II and how it built up the German economy, just like the American economy was built up by the fact that we were selling, that the bankers, these same international bankers, the cartel, same people, Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, Kuhn Loebs, all of these, and others, the top of the pyramid, funding the production of the means of war for both sides. As Hitler plundered across Europe, the first thing he did in each country he invaded would be to assign IG Farben to the task of controlling the petrochemicals and the pharmaceutical industries free of charge. He robbed them and gave it directly to IG Farben, who interestingly enough also used concentration camp slave labor to make their products for the war effort for Germany. And the relationship between Hitler, IG Farben, and the Rockefellers cannot be discounted, considering that if it wasn't for the special additives and oil additives that are required for the Nazi planes to fly, they needed a Rockefeller patented product, who of course supplied it in copious amounts. This all came out. The Nuremberg trials, of course, exposed a lot of it, and of course Prescott Bush was censured for trading with the enemy, having his bank that he sat on the board of, which was the Union Bank, traded with the enemy and had Nazi funds. A lot of this was going on. Operation Paperclip came out of this whole thing, and the Nazification, the whatever you want to call it, of the United States, what's been going on, the communists, sort of like a socialist, well, I guess that is what it is. It's a totalitarian socialist takeover of America. But instead of it being with an iron fist, it's done with a white glove. A very large part of the pharmaceutical investment business is, of course, the manufacture and sale of global vaccines. There is an undeniable push, media and advertising push, for vaccines. Get your shingle shots. It's like there's a seasonal thing now. Get your shingle shots. You go to every Walgreens, every Rite Aid, all of these big chain stores, all owned by the same big corporations. Walmart, get your shingle shots, get your flu shots, get all your vaccines here at the pharmacy. They have it all in your face there, and they show these women with looks like from the Rosie the Riveter from the 40s, who worked for the war effort. She's like, that's the kind of an image they have of a woman strong with a big muscle.
That the Obama administration is considering implementing a new fall vaccination program against the flu, a plan that would require Americans to get not one, not two, but 3 flu shots.
This is going to be a public relations, trust your government and your health officials public campaign. Mark my word, you and I are going to be talking about this a lot between now and fall.
According to the CDC, approximately 750,000 people a year are rushed to emergency rooms in the United States because of adverse reactions to pharmaceutical drugs. In the United States today, prescription painkillers kill more Americans than heroin and cocaine combined. Each year, tens of billions of dollars is spent on pharmaceutical marketing in the United States alone. The United States spends more on health care than Japan, Germany, France, China, the UK, Italy, Canada, Brazil, Spain, and Australia combined. For all the money we spend, we should be the healthiest people in the world, by a wide margin, right? No. Life expectancy is higher in dozens of other countries, and we have very high rates of cancer, heart disease, and diabetes here in America.
HUMIRA can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal events such as infections, lymphoma, or other types of cancer have happened. Blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure have occurred. Before starting HUMIRA, your doctor should test you for TB. Ask your doctor if you live in or have been to a region where certain fungal infections are common. Tell your doctor if you have had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have symptoms such as fever, fatigue, cough, or sores. You should not start HUMIRA if you have any kind of infection.
Ask your doctor if HUMIRA can work for you.
Any signs about these flu shots again? What do you think about all this propaganda saying get your flu shots?
Gotta get them.
Why?
What do you mean why?
What?
You don't want to go to the hospital, do you?
No? You don't want to go in the hospital? No, I agree.
I've been there enough times. I don't want to go yet.
Okay. Do you know that there are problems with these flu shots?
Chance to take just like crossing the street.